Welcome to the Funny Books and Firewater podcast. Each week these idiots pair cocktails with comic books. You can find the cocktails, drinking game rules, and playlists on the blog at funnybooksandfirewater.com. While at funnybooksandfirewater.com, you can also find a drinking game rule to play while you listen to each episode. You can follow us at Firewatercast on Twitter, and Funny Books and Firewater on Facebook and Instagram. This is episode 166. Taproot, a story about a gardener and a ghost. Part of Pride 3, Kissing in a Tree.
We're on time. What's up with that?
Wow, we are directly on time. That's weird for us. That's very strange.
Yeah, what is wrong with us?
I don't know, man. We're normally at least 5 minutes. I mean, we could blame Maya because he's not here. We'll just.
I was going to say it's probably Maya's fault.
We'll blame Maya. He's not here. We'll blame him. So this may or may not be. We'll see what episode this is. We're going to say that this is episode 166.
Sounds right.
That's what we're supposed to be because we recorded 170. We recorded these out of order. Then we had things go on, so we released the missing episode, and we're now 2 weeks behind on our months. So at some point in time, I'm going to have to release these and get these all caught up. But it's going to be a thing. So this is either the second to last or the last Pride book we're recording this month. We're doing Taproot, the story of a gardener and a ghost. And speaking of gardeners and ghosts, we have, I don't know why, there's really no way of tying that all
I
together.
really want to see where you're going.
I'm not going to. But, we'll start with Mr. Adam. Hey, Mr. Adam.
Hello, how are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing well, thanks. Yeah, I was sad you couldn't get free yesterday to go to Gaming Con with me.
Yeah,
It's fine. I get it.
How was your
fun.
panel?
It was really cool. So Gaming Con's not like Fan X, where lots of people actually show up to stuff.
Uh-huh.
We ended up with about 20 people, and I think we broke the record for the number of attendance at a panel.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but it was really cool. I got to go there with our good friend Sarah. My friend Brooke hopped on. Sean Hadigan, however you say his last name.
Right.
And 3 minutes into the thing, we're the moderator was like, "Can this be? Is anyone here offended by language? Can we make this not safe for work?" And no one cared. So they all got to learn my nickname.
Oh,
they got to
nice.
learn that Todd is the CDA.
That's nice.
And Maya was there too, so Maya got a chance to hang out with us and do all that. And he's like, "I can't believe you said that in front of 15 people." I'm like, "I've said it in front of thousands, so it doesn't really matter." But yeah, I'm Adam. I'm officially now the film editor for Big Shiny Robot. I got some new duties coming with that. Because before the reviews editor just meant I wrote all the reviews. Now I actually have stuff I do. Also, occasionally at the Bored as Hell podcast with Andy Wilson.
Hi,
Andy. Who also, I'm recording tomorrow. We're doing Spider-Man Far From Home, which is a ton of fun. I'll talk about at the end. And yeah, we're still doing Andy Wilson month in August.
Yeah, so July next month, in theory, we're doing As Seen on TV. Which, well, I'll just do the rundown. I was going to do this later, but I'll do the rundown now. We're going to start out with Deadly Class, and then we're going to do Umbrella Academy, and then we're going to do Lucifer, and then we're going to do iZombie, and then we're going to do Stumptown, which is a new series coming out on ABC. And then in August, we're going to be doing Andy Wilson Month 2, because the first one was such a success, because Andy actually wrote really good books. So we're doing Dr. Aphra, The Dark Avengers Siege, The Dark Knight Strikes Again, and Daredevil Guardian Devil by Kevin Smith will be August. And then, there's 2 months ahead in time notice. So, if you need to make orders into in-stock trades or your local comic book stop, there you go.
Yeah. And then, of course, I'm always over at Cinema Queens with our good friend Chris.
Hi, Chris.
And then curating our Grindr, Scruff, and Tights with a Z account. And then in September, I will actually be coming down to California with Clark. So we'll have to meet you, Jason.
Yeah.
And hang out with, obviously, you, Brian, and maybe do some live episodes while we're down there. So
that sounds like fun.
Yeah.
You can see the new digs.
Ooh.
So then, speaking of Jason, the Hollywood elite, how are you, sir?
I'm fine, Brian. Thank you. As you mentioned, I am a writer in Los Angeles. And because I'm not quite sure if this is going to be before or after the Life with Kevin episode. Regardless of when you hear Life with Kevin, that is going to be old news regarding the WGA and the ATA fight. So here's the latest update. So the WGA has formally rejected the ATA's newest proposal and will not entertain any offer of shared profits in packaging, as they still believe packaging to be an unfair business practice. Since then, the WGA has also reached out to individual agencies to try to negotiate with them instead of through the ATA negotiating team, and they have all refused to engage with the WGA. So the WGA has accused them of collusion and anti-competitive behavior. As the WGA cease and desist letter to the ATA states, quote, under labor and antitrust law, the ATA's right to negotiate with the Guild existed only because the Guild consented and in doing so extended legal protection to the ATA. But that accommodation is not the norm. Trade associations such as the ATA don't typically have the right to bargain for their members as a group. Such bargaining is usually an illegal restraint of trade. So in addition to the strong language in the battle between the WGA and the ATA, two big writers have officially signed with new agents at Verve, who is one of the few agencies which has agreed to the new WGA Code of Conduct. John August, who wrote Big Fish and most recently the live-action Aladdin. He's also a renowned script doctor around town, and he has his own podcast called Script Notes, which is great. And the other writer is one of the co-EPs on Preacher, Susan Hurwitz Arneson. After that, expect more writers to make the jump as the WGA and ATA keep fighting this out in the courts. Back to you, Brian.
Okay, thank you, Jason. And I'm legally obligated to follow up Mr. Jason with Mr. Todd, whose house we were recording in. Two guys, one mic. We're sharing a microphone today. How are you, sir?
I am doing well. And near us is little baby Spawn as well.
Yeah, you might hear little Lebowski in the background.
Yes. So she's making herself more known all the time. So yeah, I'm Todd. I'm here in Salt Lake. You can find me here on this podcast.
Uh-huh.
There we go. And we keep going there. So if you see me around town, say hey, and it'd be nice to chat with anyone.
Yeah. You missed the guilty look he gave me when he said only on this show.
Oh, they heard it.
I know. They heard that audible glare. So, but never giving me an audible glare, at least not that I can tell from this distance. We have Lena.
Hi,
Lena.
Well, I can't say that I don't give you a glare, but I'm not right now, so you're fine.
Okay, cool.
Hi, I'm Lena. I am an event manager based out of the New York, Connecticut area. And traveling like a crazy person for a while. And Adam, when in September are you going to be in California?
I believe we're planning to drive down on the 16th and stay for a full week and then come back like on the 9th day or something like that. I don't have to look again.
Oh, you're going to leave like right before I get there.
Boo.
And hey, I'm Brian. I'm a sound designer based in California. I'm currently in Utah designing some shows for Lyric Rep. The show that I thought was going to ruin the reputation and scare off all the old people has so far done fairly well in the show reports that I've read. We'll see if that holds true because there are some jokes that might even make Adam blush in that play.
I don't believe you.
We have seen you blush before.
We have seen you blush before.
Possible.
It is possible, yeah.
What did I blush at? I remember this now. What was it?
What did we get him to blush at?
It was like one of the 7 signs of the apocalypse.
Adam blushes?
Yeah.
Yes.
Let me think about that.
We'll have to think about it, but yeah. Anyway, so I have one more show to do out here, and then I will be heading back to California, and then I'm also moving, so I'll have a whole new space to record out of, which will be fun. So there's all of that. So this week we are doing Taproot, the story of a ghost. Adam, I think you picked this out because you picked out all the Pride books.
Yes, and I'm sorry for the one that we didn't like.
And you know what? That's still not a bad average considering my one Deadpool book that I will never live down. I think you're doing okay.
Because
but at least it wasn't as bad as Bobobo.
That's true. That is very true. So, do you want to give us a little preview, Adam, as to what we're going to run into?
Yeah. So this is just it's a really simple kind of love story. We got this gardener named Hamal, and he has the ability to see ghosts. And there's this one ghost named Blue who is in love with him, and they kind of go on some adventures together, and wackiness ensues.
So, let's start out with drinking game rules. No, actually, wait. What do we do? Votes first now, don't we?
Yeah.
I don't have my list in front of me right now, so I'm kind of freeballing it. This could be very dangerous.
Votes.
Okay. So we're going to go into votes as to whether or not we believe it is worth you, our dear listeners, hard-earned time, money, and effort to read this book. Mr. Adam.
Yes.
Lena.
Yes.
Okay. Jason.
I'm a soft yes as well.
Okay, Todd.
Yeah.
And I'm a yes. I actually really like this book. Okay, then, Todd, what do we do now? You were correcting me last time.
Games.
Now we do drinking games?
Now it's drinking games.
Okay, so
then song and then drink.
Okay, then song and dance and then drink. Okay, so drinking game rules. So for drinking game rules, I'm going to go first because Todd will appreciate. I've themed mine together. I'm following Todd. Well, I've themed my drinking game and my song together.
Okay.
So this will give you a hint as to what my song is going to be for the playlist. But I am doing Creeping Death. Take a drink every time the Reaper appears or calls. That is your rationale for taking a drink. Mr. Jason.
Mine is called My Boy Blue. Anytime Blue's name is spoken, take a drink.
Lena.
Story without words. Anytime there's a panel with no words, drink.
Mr. Todd.
Mine's called, Hey, don't you remember the snowman? So, as you're reading this book, it just incredibly reminded me of that 1978 novel, The Snowman, that was made into a movie as well, that not a single word was spoken.
Okay.
Do you remember this, kids?
Sort of.
Yeah.
Sort of.
It's called This Reminds Me of the Snowman.
Okay.
There you go.
It's not as weird and esoteric as some of your drinking game rules are, so we'll go with
So
it.
when are they supposed to drink?
When it reminds them of 1970s.
Okay.
1978. So you need to be over the age of 40
probably.
to understand it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
this is basically a rule just for Todd.
Yeah, pretty much. That's not uncommon for Todd.
Yes, that's true.
And Mr. Adam.
So actually, I tied my drink in with my drinking game. The drinking game is called Death's a Bitch. Whenever death insults someone.
Oh, nice.
There we go.
We had 2 death-themed ones. Okay, well, speaking of theming things together, we'll go in with songs.
Mm-hmm.
My first song is same name as my drinking game. It's Creeping Death by Metallica. Not necessarily right for the tone of this book, but I like the idea. So, Mrs. Elena or Ms. Elena or Madam Elena, or I'm trying to figure out the best term.
Did you just assume her gender?
No, I'm trying to assume her role.
No,
Prefix?
he already
Prefix.
asked me, Adam, like on the first time I recorded, if it was Miss or Ms. or what, and I was like, it's Ms. By the way,
Okay.
We've had this conversation already, Brian. Keep up.
I know we have, but I started saying one and then I realized it was wrong, so I decided I'd try to cover up for it by saying every one I could come up with.
He also doesn't have his notes in front of him.
That's true. Yeah, there you go.
My playlist song is the You and Me song from the Wannadies.
Oh my gosh, from
Romeo and Juliet.
Romeo and Juliet
That's
soundtrack?
right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. Mr. or Mrs. Adam.
Actually, though, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'm not assuming your gender, so.
No, this is just really fast before I do my drinking game, which actually I did song. So where I work, we've got a pretty decent LGBT population of employees, and one of my associates is a trans guy, and so one day I went to him, so we're actually decent friends, and I was like, hey, just so you know, I know pronouns are important, so like, what do you prefer? And he's like, oh, I want masculine pronouns. I'm like, all right, cool, I just want to make sure of that. But he constantly gets misgendered by people because he transitioned after he started working.
Oh, gotcha.
And before, what I would do, I'd be kind of passive aggressive about it, where if they're like, oh, where is she right now? I'm like, well, he's over in this aisle, or he's over here doing this.
Yeah.
But it's the point now where I'm just done with that shit, so I had one of the other associates misgender him. I was like, hey, just so you know, this person really, they're a dude and they prefer masculine pronouns. I'm like, oh, I didn't even realize I said the wrong one. I'm like, you may not have, but just so you know, it is kind of rude to do that. And they're like, oh, I'm so sorry. So that's kind of my new mission, is to make sure they're not misgendering this dude. So
okay, I
Nice.
appreciate
That's
that.
awesome.
I love that.
Okay, anyway. No, good. I'm glad. Actually, and I didn't realize this, but yes, my drinking game, drink, and song are tied together because my song is "Only the Good Die Young" by Billy Joel.
Okay.
And that was actually pretty important to me. That actually was kind of almost prophetic because I did this before a certain thing happened.
Yeah, no,
So,
I smell what you're stepping in on that one for sure. Mr. Todd.
So this song's all about tone and feeling and not so much lyrics. But it's Port-au-Prince by the Royal Crown Review.
Okay, that's off of the Contender album, right?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, look at that. I know some shit. Cool. Mr. Jason.
My song is called Dancing on My Own by Robin.
Okay.
So did they rip off Billy Idol?
That's what I was wondering.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I was just being sarcastic. I didn't think they did. So
Well, maybe they did. I don't know. It's it's a possibility. Okay. So Todd.
Yes.
Are we doing cocktails next?
Yeah, that's what's left.
Okay. Well,
cocktails.
would you like to start with
It
the
is
cocktail?
Pride Month.
It is Pride Month. Yes.
So
The last day of
Last day of Pride Month. It's true.
Woohoo. Sure. So mine is called a Cassis Orange. So get ready for this. It's kind of intense.
Okay.
It's 2 ounces of creme de cassis and 5 ounces of orange juice.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the drink.
Okay.
It's Slow down.
Yeah.
Slow down, careful.
Yeah.
So what you want to do is pour the creme de cassis into a parfait glass over ice, add the orange juice, and give it a quick stir so that it is blended, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
But also ensure the top is more orange and then the bottom is more red.
Okay.
And then sip and enjoy.
Okay. Mr. Adam.
So again, this does tie into my first two. This one is called the Reaper, and what you do is it's an ounce of Kahlua, ounce of silver rum, and a splash of grenadine. You take a small glass fully filled with ice. You add the first two ingredients, and then you splash a little bit of grenadine on top, so it looks like there's blood flowing down it.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Ms. Elena.
It's the Spring Flowers cocktail. So it's 1 ounce of light rum, half an ounce of creme de violet, half an ounce of lilac simple syrup. There's a whole recipe that goes with it. Just Google it if you want to make it from home. Half a lime and half a cup of soda water. So you mix the rum, the creme de violet, lilac simple syrup, and lime in a glass. Add ice and soda water and stir to mix. That's it.
Okay.
That's only the second cocktail I know that uses that creme de violet.
Yeah, we had another one at one point in time.
The Aviator uses it.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, well, speaking of flowers and gardens, mine is the English Garden. And since it's English, of course, it's in milliliters, but whatever. So it's 50 milliliters of gin, 25 milliliters of Saint Germain elderflower liqueur, 75 milliliters of apple juice, not from concentrate, 10 milliliters of lime juice, and you need cucumber ribbons to serve and make it all fancy. You're going to shake the shit out of all the ingredients except for the cucumber with ice. You're going to strain into a tall glass with fresh ice, and you're going to decorate with the cucumber ribbons to serve. And last but certainly not least, the Hollywood elite, Mr. Jason.
So in keeping with the garden theme, I've got a hibiscus mojito. I'm going to take a handful of fresh mint leaves, 2 ounces of light rum, 1 ounce of fresh lime juice, 1 ounce simple syrup, half an ounce of hibiscus liqueur, and 2 ounces of club soda. You'll take the mint and muddle it gently into the bottom of a tall glass. Minus the soda, pour the other ingredients into a cocktail shaker with ice and shake the shit out of it as usual. Pour that mixture into the tall glass and top with the club soda. Stir gently and then drink to enjoy.
Okay. Sounds good. Does anybody else have any warnings before we let people off to go read this book?
Oh, we need the myification.
Oh, what is the myification? Thank you, Adam.
You really didn't need to do that. I don't know. Let's ask Maya.
Am I doing it?
Yeah, you do
it. Supernatural love story.
Okay. That works. I'm surprised. Oh, I was going to do Unchained Melody. That was right. That was the other song we were going to do was Unchained Melody. I remember I edited that episode. It's like, well, someone's got dibs on that. And no one took it.
I don't know. They didn't make any pottery.
They didn't. I was a little disappointed by that. There is no pottery. This is a supernatural love story with no pottery. That's a good warning. Are there any other warnings we need to give people?
This is pretty good for all ages.
Yeah, it is actually.
Which is very sweet.
Yeah. Cool. Well, then we will take a brief break and we will let you go and read this book. And when we come back, we're going to spoil the living shit out of it. So you have been forewarned. And we will see you on the flip side.
While we take a break, here is a message from one of our fellow Hello Sweetie Network podcasts.
Now, sissy that wow.
Hey there! Are you queer or some variation of it? Well, I'm Chris, and this is my co-host,
Adam. And welcome to Cinema Queens, where we talk about queer cinema.
Each week, we watch beloved queer classics, discuss them, review them,
and cover a whole cluster of topics from our favorite scenes,
what they mean to us,
how it relates to our current world,
and the best part, the cherry on top of the sundae, happens to be...
gay rants!
So prepare your ear holes!
And listen to us Queens talk cinema. New episodes drop every Monday on iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher. Bye-bye!
Cool. Do you guys need a break? Or you want to head in?
No, we're good.
Okay.
Let's jump in.
Yeah.
Yep. We're on time. We're only 18 minutes in. Like, we're just hauling ass.
Oh, we'll fuck it up soon. So.
Okay.
It'll happen.
Yeah, it's true. We'll go off the rails. Well, part of the problem is that I didn't bring the book with me because I assumed Todd would have a copy, and Todd loaned his to Maya, who's
And
not
look
doing
where
the show.
Maya's at.
So
This is all Maya's fault.
it is all Maya's fault. So we're flying a little bit blind here. So who would like to start the conversation off about the book?
I'll go ahead and start.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So it is a very sweet book, and I definitely did enjoy reading it. The structure and the world building was a little bit weird for me, and I saw this phrase applied to something else so I'm going to use it for this, but because I think it works perfectly. It's a really good idea. It was just a little bit too lightly applied in parts. So the main part of the story, about 80% of it, is this impossible love story between Blue the ghost and Hamal, who's a living boy. And once that's resolved in a very happy ending somehow, the story changes into a weird little sort of jaunty ghost scavenger hunt as Hamal works his second job as apparently a necromancer.
Yeah.
But it's a necromancer that isn't like what we would imagine. They're just sort of are able to interact with the spirits in a very normal way.
They kind of become like Ghostbusters.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
Or like it was kind of reminded me of the Frighteners in a.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
no, yeah, definitely.
I can see that. Yeah. The love story works really well. I think it's a nice representation for that. It doesn't really delve too deeply into it. They're both attracted to each other. It's not really, I guess, from my perspective, it was never really given a clear reason why either of these people found each other to be their ideals, but they're just always around and it just naturally occurs, which works.
Well, that's kind of like real life, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, but they don't really do anything that would, at least from an outside perspective, lead me to think, oh, okay, that's definitely why they're attracted to that person. I don't know. It felt very sort of kind of taken for granted. I would have liked a little bit more into who these people are as opposed to just that they're always together.
Yeah.
That's just me.
Okay, I get that.
So would you say it almost feels forced, or
not forced? It's very
assumed.
Light. Yeah, assumed. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay,
I
that makes sense.
don't know if I agree with that though, Jason, because I feel like the Blue had just after he became a ghost and he saw Hamal for the first time, he there was something there, and you see that where he just he was following him for a reason. And so I think at the beginning there might be you're questioning I don't know what's going on, but after seeing that backstory, I thought.
But why was he following him?
Huh?
Why was he following him?
Well, he saw. I'm looking at the book right now, and he was He saw Hamal walk by him, and he was just kind of watching people pass by, and then he saw Hamal, and he just stopped. And then he just started following him everywhere.
Right.
So it's an instant attraction. There's something there. And I mean, I don't know. I've had relationships that are like that you there's something there and you just don't think it's not until all of a sudden you're oh, I want this to be more than just whatever this was.
Yeah, no, I totally get that. I think I'm just, and it may be just that I'm looking for more gravitas when something is as important as a story between two guys. I want there to be sort of an unimpeachable quality to it, and when it's just sort of an as-is assumed,
very easy,
light exploration of this sort of topic. I want something more. Even it mentions that Hamal is just his nickname, and it doesn't explain what it's a nickname of or why he got that nickname. And it's just I just want just a little bit more juice into it.
Well, see, I guess the reason why that's actually the way they met and kind of fell in love worked for me was because that's how I met Clark. I was actually in New York City with Brian. We were about to go to, was it Anastasia? I think that was what we were going to.
It was, either that or, probably.
It was the day after Dear Evan Hansen.
Yeah, okay.
I had one of the first pictures I sent to Clark was with that playbill. And I think I was outside smoking or something. And he was in Cedar City and somehow found me. And his first question to me was, do you watch Stargate Atlantis? Because I said, I'm a geek on there on Scruff. And I'm like, no, but I've seen Stargate and everything else. And so we started talking a bit. And we ended up striking up this really big friendship that honestly I thought would just always be a friendship because he lives in southern Utah, I'm in Salt Lake City, and whatever. But we became really good friends. And then, he came up here to visit. We hung out and things kind of went from there. And, here we are a year and almost a half later, going strong, going better than ever. So I can see where Lena's coming from that, sometimes you're out there, you see someone and you just something clicks and you're like, this is someone I want to spend more time with, get to know more. And then all of a sudden that friendship relationship can deepen into love. And especially in the case with Hamal, like, Blue just assumes he's straight the whole time.
Yeah.
Which I think a lot of it too. I even asked at work, I had a coworker, and I was like, oh, I heard his girlfriend dumped him. And they're like, oh, no, his boyfriend did. I'm like, oh, I'm stupid because I always assumed people were bi until they tell me. And I made that mistake of assuming he was straight. And that's kind of happened here. So I don't know, maybe it was just what's kind of I've seen in my own life, my own relationships that like Lena said, I really loved how they kind of made this friendship turn into a love story when it didn't follow the stereotypical tropes you see in a lot of romances. But I see Jason's side as well, is that there's a lot of like holes that need to be filled in. And now that Blue's a human, he can do that. And I got that.
I got that.
But yeah, I can see both sides. I see what I liked, and also Jason, you brought some points up that I hadn't noticed before, so thank you.
And to be fair, I may be looking at it a little bit too harshly, because the world building aspect of it, when the Reaper comes to Hamal and tells him that he's just literally issuing him a permit to practice necromancy, I love that little twist, but it didn't establish that Hamal's green thumb, or his proficiency as a gardener, is sort of stealing life force energy from an otherworldly forest. So it just, I might have been too bothered by its sort of haphazard construction of its world to allow myself to just be carried away by that. So that's definitely part of it too, I will admit.
Yeah, no, I get that.
Was anyone bothered by that?
I kind of just went along for the ride. I mean, I didn't put much more into it, because I just thought it was just sort of like, it was a cute little story. It was kind of a little bit sweet romantic sort of thing. And I just sort of, I mean, I don't know. I didn't read too much into it. It did kind of remind me, and I had to look up what the movie was. Does anybody remember from, let's see, what year was this? I'll look it up real fast. From 1993, a Robert Downey Jr. movie called Heart and Souls. Does anybody remember that movie?
Yes, I love that movie.
Did that remind you of this story at all? Or is it just me? Or am I just reading in the whole ghost story romance thing?
No, it totally reminded me when he was talking about, like, he just thought they were imaginary friends when he was little. And I was like, "Aw, Thing walk like a man." Yeah, so I...
Okay, so I'm not the only one who noticed that, because I was sitting there going like, I've seen this movie, and I know it was Robert Downey Jr., and I had to look it up on IMDb real fast. I don't have that completely memorized, but I do remember that movie from the 90s, because my mom used to take me to a lot of movies when I was a kid, and like that vibe reminded me of it, which I don't remember if that movie's good or not. I don't know if I recommend
watch it. It is fantastic.
It's still fantastic? Okay, so...
Still fantastic. Okay. It's wonderful.
Gotcha. Well, Todd, what are your thoughts?
It was going in there. It's a little bit along with Jason, but for me, enjoying this story, which I did, it felt very atmospheric in a lot of ways. So kind of like you've got some like light music going on in the background. You might really be enjoying it, but it's not a enthralling event. But it's just something that really, it's like this was a great, pleasant way to spend the afternoon, and a bit to like recharge things and a little bit of reorienting yourself kind of a deal. So for me, in going through this, it was very much more akin to that process as well. So in a lot of ways, the story itself, the details were truly secondary. And it's got this cute little art style. There's a sweetness to it. I mean, the Reaper comes up, says, "Oh, you can have this permit now." Just basically it's like, fill out the form. Everything's good. It's like we're all just kind of in a fog of THC, and weird things are happening, but we're like, yeah, we'll go with it.
Yeah, you just kind of roll with the punches.
Let's kind of roll with it. Let's go with it. It's like, oh, this could be very bad. It's like, I wonder what happens. Like, well, maybe I'll go away. Oh, this worked out.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, in a lot of ways, it's kind of like Brad Pitt's character from True Romance. He's just kind of chilling there watching the world go by, and he's just like, whatever, man.
Yeah.
So that's really kind of like the vibe and the feel that, I mean, there is this sweet story going on, but at the same time, there's this layer of things are happening and it'll keep going. And regardless of the events of the moment, it just keeps going through. So, and it's just kind of, it doesn't feel like a train barreling down. It's just like a small little boat drifting down a river gently. And that's kind of how I felt like the whole story was in general. You had a little bit of bends and moves, but it was taking its time to get there, and then kind of picked a spot to stop, and there we are.
Okay.
And yeah.
Yep.
So
I get that.
Lazy Sunday afternoon.
Yeah. Cool. Lena, what are your thoughts?
I liked it. I thought the art was beautiful. The only part that I was really confused by was Blue becoming alive again with the plant, like the plant that now is his heart or something. Sapling. Yeah, I and then he turned into a tree, and then all of a sudden he wasn't a tree anymore and he was real. So I was confused by that. But I liked the kind of love story aspect to it, because where Jason wanted more of it kind of written out for you, at least that's what I'm gathering from what you said. This actually reminded me of something I actually went through, where it was like you were really close with someone, and then or you're just kind of like, oh, it is what it is, and then you see them, whether it be for the first time or again, and it just clicked. And then it's like all you want to do is be around this person. And so I saw that, and when I read it, I was like, I get that. So I didn't need it to be explained because I'd been there, and they didn't need to explain it because I got it. So I liked that. But in terms of all the Reaper stuff, I was like, okay, that's fine. Like, skip through it. But the pieces of it, like, I liked the relationships between, like, the relationship between Blue and Hamal and all the other ghosts and everything. And even when, like, Blue had disappeared and a couple of the other ghosts were like, oh, Blue, you look kind of blue, which I thought was kind of cute. And then one of the other ghosts was like, oh, Blue and Hamal, I heard them fighting before. And she was like, oh. So it's one of those things where it's like the relationships between everyone I thought was really interesting, but the storyline just, I didn't understand. I totally, like, I didn't care which way or the other. Like, it was like, okay, whatever, move the story forward to learn more about the characters. But the whole Reaper thing and the Necromancer thing and I was like, I don't care at all. So.
So I got you. So you're more drawn in by the romance, but not necessarily by the supernatural elements of it.
It's not even just the romance. It was just the way that when they would talk and interact, and even all the other characters, I liked. But yeah, the actual, like, premise of everything else going on, I didn't care.
Yeah, I get you. Okay. Mr. Adam, what are your thoughts?
I really liked it a lot. Like Lena said, and Jason, it's a sweet little love story. There's some really great world building as far as, this character who can see ghosts, which, to be honest, isn't a really unique trope, but it's handled really well and really cute in this one. But yeah, then it started getting kind of weird. We've got Blue going off to this, like, horrible forest, and there's something crazy that's chasing him. And yeah, like was kind of said before, all of a sudden it just completely turns into this completely different type of book. Kind of like a Ghostbusters type story. And I wasn't expecting that at all, because if you read the slipcover or any kind of synopsis, all it says is about Hamal can see ghosts and there's a ghost in love with him. That's all they tell you. And honestly, I think that's good, because for me, I kind of like that all of a sudden. I was like, oh, this love story is kind of coming to an end. I was like, wait a minute, there's like half the book left. What the hell is going to be next? And all of a sudden it's like, you could hear the Ghostbuster music in the background as they're using their zombies and, tracking down this ghost of a girl, like her to kind of put her at rest type of thing. And I actually liked that a lot. It was kind of surprising and not what I was expecting at all, but I really enjoyed that. And my only really big complaint with the book is that I want to know what happens next. And this was kind of like a one-shot deal, and I don't think the author has any plans of making more of these, because this also started as a webcomic. I don't know if it still is. I went to their website, and if you click on the link for Taproot, it's a broken link. But yeah, that was kind of my biggest complaint, was that I want to see what happens next. I would read another graphic novel or another trade of this story, but I don't think there's any more. So
yeah, the final arc does definitely feel like a completely different story. It's this weird sort of procedural, romantic, ghost hunting story starring a gay couple, which there are very few of those. So yeah, it'd be fun to read more of that.
I'm trying to think of who you would cast in a movie of this.
I think Michael Cera should be Blue.
I could see that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Well,
actually, no. Make Tom Holland Blue, and then for Hamal,
Todd's shaking his head. He disagrees with you on the Tom Holland aspect.
I like the Michael Cera better.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Tom Holland's cuter. Well, he's Spider Twink. So.
I'm following you. I get that.
I don't know who Hamal will be though. Like, I can't think.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe have to.
Jonah.
Or no, you make Cole Sprouse blue because he kind of reminded me of Jughead from Riverdale a little bit.
I could see that too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
I came home last night. My mom was watching like 6 Feet Apart or whatever that was. And I didn't realize that Cole Sprouse was in
5 feet apart.
5 Feet Apart. Sorry, yeah.
It's a good movie. Did you watch it?
I just watched the very end, and it just came across this dying teenagers movie. So I was like, oh, okay.
Okay, well, yeah. If you only watch the end, then yeah, you missed it. But but it is a good movie. It tells reality of that whole disease and everything really, really well.
Okay,
like really well. So
I won't write it off entirely. I'm just saying that's all I saw. But I was like a little bit surprised to see Cole Sprouse was in it because I actually really like him in Riverdale.
Was it him or his twin?
No, it's him. Dylan doesn't do acting anymore. He's more on the like other side of the like art world.
Like behind the camera.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
I did think it was funny. I think Dylan Sprouse's nudes leaked online, and the response from his brother was like, "Well, I guess y'all know what my dick looked like now." He's like, "I'm not sure how I feel about that."
Cool. Well, does anybody else have anything else they want to bring up on this? I mean, it's sort of a sweet, simple little story, so there's not like a whole lot of depth.
Did we get?
Right.
Did Todd hop in yet?
Todd's giving his thoughts on it.
Yeah.
My apologies. I'm trying to get my roommate to turn the fucking TV down.
Oh, gotcha. Yay, roommates. I think, I mean, that's a pretty decent little, discussion of what the book is. It's not super deep, so there's not like a whole lot to extract out of it.
This isn't Watchmen.
No, for sure. Do you guys want to go into final votes?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, cool. You're going to have to remind me the names because I don't have the book in front of me. It's the same writer as an artist, correct?
Yes.
Keezy Young.
Okay. Oh, yeah, that's right. Keezy Young.
Keezy,
right. Yeah.
Her rap name is Little Keezy.
And my rap name would be Little Beezy. Anyway.
How do you do Little Cum Dumpster? That doesn't really work.
Little CD?
Little CD, there we go.
Yes.
Yeah. Or you can just be C Dumpster.
There you go. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not urban enough for that.
Well, we'll work on it.
That's how I became the Cum Dumpster.
Just by working at it.
True. Anyway, so for self-contained, what is your vote, Mr. Todd?
I'll give it a B. I mean, so it ended. You've got this procedural going on and things going, but there's more I wanted. The story finished up, but there's more I wanted to see.
Mm-hmm.
So, B.
Okay, Mr. Adam.
I'm actually going to go with a C because the story itself between Blue and Hamal wraps up, but then it takes this turn and you've got this whole new dynamic that really leaves you wanting. If you enjoyed the book, you're going to want to know what happens next. So I think one story arc did close, but it opened up a new one right immediately after it, and that was left you kind of hanging. So.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Lena.
I said B+. I was ready to be like, oh, okay, it's over. Cool.
Yeah. I'll say A- because I felt like I was fairly happy with where it ended and wrapped up, and I was just kind of okay with it as a cumulative thing. And Mr. Jason.
C, same reasons as Adam.
Okay. Well, then, for writing for Keezy, last name again?
Young.
Thank you. For Keezy Young, what is your grade, Mr. Jason?
I said a B. It's still a very sweet, enjoyable, pleasant story. It's got some weirdness with the plotting and the world building, but other than that, it's really delightful.
Okay. Ms. Lena.
I'm sorry, I'm here. I was being summoned from someone else.
How dare they? Don't they know how important you are right now?
I know.
Hi, Tora.
Yeah, right. Of course, I love how everyone knows that it's Victoria. I said writing was a B-. I liked the storyline. Like I said, I liked the relationships, but the actual storyline was meh.
Mr. Todd.
Go along with Elena on the B-. It is a bit to back where I said is the story and the writing itself was kind of secondary to the book of what's going on, and it just kind of happened as you just kind of worked by. So, yeah, nothing offensive in there, so it's a B-.
Okay, Mr. Adam.
I'm gonna go with a B+. I really enjoyed the writing. I thought it was lighthearted and fun, and it's got some really great world building I really enjoyed. So I definitely enjoyed that, and I want to go back and read other things this author has done now.
Okay, cool. And then it's me. I'm going to go with a solid B. Like I liked it a fair amount, and I thought it was okay. For art, for Keezy Young, what is your grade, Mr. Adam?
I'm going to go with a B+ as well. I love the use of colors, how they made the ghost. They still seemed not alive, but they were still characters. They weren't like wispy and, faded out to the point where like they felt like they were just other characters in the story. And it, again, like I said before, this is definitely good for younger audiences, and it has an art style I think that they would really enjoy.
Okay. Mr. Jason.
I said an A. It's a really, really delightful art style. The eyes and the eyebrows are especially evocative. And it did actually remind me of an indie video game called Flower, from the same creators as Journey and Flow. Mm-hmm. If anyone knows either of those games, it just sort of has a light, sort of a floating feeling to it. Just feels good. Yeah.
Okay. Mr. Todd.
The art's the best part of the book. I'll give that a B+. I really enjoyed it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Lena?
I said B+ as well.
Okay.
Lena and I are just in lockstep here.
Apparently, yeah. And then I'm going to give it I'll give it an A-. I actually like the art quite a bit. Then for overall grade, Mr. Jason, what is your grade?
I said overall it's a B.
Okay. Mr. Todd?
B.
Okay. I'm also a B. Mr. Adam?
B as well. Again, I liked it all. I definitely liked it a lot. I just wish there was more coming, and unfortunately, I can't get that.
Okay. So. And Ms. Lena?
B.
Wow, I used my spreadsheet, but I didn't even have to. A solid GPA of 3.0, a solid B all the way around, so that was super easy. I did put it all in there just in case someone went off the reservation, but whatever.
I was watching him one keystroke at a time going,
Fantastic. So, who has recommendations for this week that they'd like to get off their chest?
I got one.
Okay.
Oh, good.
Okay. I was going to say there's a podcast called the Women of Marvel podcast, and they have a Pride Month episode featuring a roundtable of LGBTQ comic creators. It features Vita Ayala, who's from Age of X-Men, Prisoner X, and Acts of Evil. Teenie Howard, who did Thanos and Age of Conan, Belit, I think, and Leah Williams, Gwenpool Strikes Back, and Extremists. So you should definitely check out that episode.
Brian and I saw Vita Ayala at a panel at WonderCon this past year.
Yeah,
she was on the Valiant panel.
Oh, yeah, she was on the Valiant panel. That was before you showed up. Yeah.
Okay.
She was on
the Friday. Okay.
Yeah, she was on the Valiant panel.
Nice. Okay.
Okay. I'm going to recommend that movie that I mentioned earlier, Heart and Souls. I'll take Landon's recommendation on it that it still holds up. So I will say check it out. I remember it being pretty fun. Anyway, I enjoyed it. Todd's probably looking up to see if it exists anywhere online right now.
It's Robert Downey Jr. and Elizabeth
Shue.
Thank you. God, there's too many of them.
Yeah, and there's also Charles Grodin and Alfre Woodard and Kara Sedgwick.
Yeah. It's wonderful. It's just wonderful. And I watched it not that long ago, and it totally stands up. It's funny and heartwarming, and it's Robert Downey Jr., and so you can't hate on it too much. I've loved him forever, so it's wonderful.
Yeah. Lana, do you have a recommendation?
I do. So I realized that Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, is now on Netflix. And I watched it for the third or fourth time.
I still need to see that.
Super fun.
It is. So
watch it.
Highly recommend it. And now that it's on Netflix, everyone should definitely watch it more than once. The art is, the animation is just beautiful. Mm-hmm. And the music and the soundtrack, the voice acting, the writing, everything. It's just, I am not a massive action movie fan. And obviously this is my intro into comic books, being on this podcast and listening to this podcast. But it was wonderful. It definitely is something that I think every person, regardless of what your likes or dislikes are, if you know anything about Spider-Man, it's wonderful. But if you know Spider-Man, and especially all the movies going back to Tobey Maguire, it's wonderful. It pokes fun at itself, and it's just absolutely fantastic. So it's now on Netflix. If you didn't see it in the theaters, see it now.
Cool. Mr. Todd.
So mine is a movie called Always Be My Maybe, starring Ali Wong, also on Netflix.
Yes.
Dude, that movie was awesome. Go watch it. It's a lot of fun.
Mr. Adam.
So actually, I have two recommendations. My first one kind of ties in with Lena's. We got to see Spider-Man: Far From Home last week.
Mm-hmm.
Had a press screening, and it's. I'm not going to say anything at all because if I say anything outside of what you see in the trailers, they're all huge spoilers. This takes place, a little bit after the events of Endgame, and essentially you've got Peter Parker wrestling. He's at odds with one, wanting to be the next Iron Man because he feels like that Tony Stark was like his father he never really had, and then two, he just wants to be a teenager, so he wants to go to Europe with his friends. He wants to tell MJ how much he cares about her, and then crazy shit happens. It's a ton of fun. It's really well done. This is officially the end of Phase 3. Okay. So this does cap off everything after Infinity War Endgame. And again, this just proves Tom Holland is my Spider-Man. As long as Marvel is involved heavily with Sony going forward, I don't see how these movies could ever really be bad. And then also stay all the way through the end. There are 2 after credit scenes, and there's a lot of fan service there, and it definitely does tie into the MCU. So there's some events that take place that will directly affect what we see in Stage 4. So my review for it actually is about a 9 out of 10. So I loved it. I can't wait to see it again. My second recommendation is, Fantasy Flight Games, we've talked about them before. Mm-hmm. They own the license to make Star Wars board games. Okay. Like the kind of the heavy ones. They just came out with a new one last week called Star Wars Outer Rim. And unlike the previous games, this is where you're taking the mantle of smugglers like Han Solo or Lando, or you're a bounty hunter like Boba Fett, or you're is it Dr. Aphra from the yeah, she can be her. Nice. And or Jyn Erso or this and that. And so basically trying to go through and become the most famous or infamous person in the galaxy by collecting bounties, doing jobs, dropping off illegal cargo. It's a ton of fun. It's really easy to learn. I would not recommend playing it with more than 2 or 3 players. We played 4 players last night, and after 2 hours, we were only halfway done. But a 2-player game, you can wrap up in about an hour. So check it out. It's really cool. Lots of replay value. And once again, Fantasy Flight knocks it out of the park.
Sounds great. Cool. Does anybody else have anything else, or will that do it for this week? Okay. Giggity. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us, and we will be back next week with another episode. Not exactly sure which order these are all going to come out with. I'm sorry. Life got complicated still is a little bit, but
it still is, yeah.
Life got complicated. We had to deal with some stuff. But we're back doing stuff, and you got to hear the missing episode. So, it's out there in the world now. Anyway, so that being said, thanks so much, and we'll see you all later. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. And then we press stop.
Thank you for joining us. Please rate us on whatever service you listen on. And remember, at least we're not cinema queens.